Picture the moment. You've done it. 34 years of showing up. 40-hour weeks, one paycheck at a time, and the number in the account finally has the right amount of zeros. You're about to tell your kids, you're about to tell the guys at work, you already know how you're going to say it, and you feel, for the first time in a long time, like you won. Put the phone down. Don't tell anyone yet. I'm going to show you why the smartest retirees in this country make 10 quiet moves before that phone call ever happens, and why the man on the thumbnail has a finger to his lips. It isn't a secret handshake. It isn't a religion. It's a discipline. You retire quietly, on purpose. Because the second you announce it out loud, 10 silent settings on your money lock in at whatever default the system wrote for you. And the defaults are not on your side. There is one number nobody at the bank runs for you, nobody at the finance office runs for you, and nobody at the Social Security office runs for you. It's the gap between the retirement you think you have and the retirement you actually have after the tax code, the Medicare calendar, the claiming age, and the withdrawal math all take their cut. On a $1 million retiree in Ohio, that gap is bigger than most people's houses. I'm going to walk you through the 10 upgrades. I'm going to run the number live, and I'm going to show you exactly where the defaults are paid out by a couple who did everything right. The next number is the one they're counting on you never running. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm Sol Goldstein. 3 generations of my family sold diamonds on 47th Street in Manhattan. I learned to weigh a stone before I learned to drive. The back half of my career I spent as a senior partner on Wall Street, sitting on the pricing desks and the product committees where the retirement products you own were built and sold. I saw wealth held in the hand, and I saw wealth moved on a screen. And I got out to tell ordinary people how the machinery actually works. I'm not selling you a course. I'm not managing your money. I'm the guy who was in both rooms, and I'm on your side of the table now. Here's what's on the line. A couple retiring today with $1 million in a traditional individual retirement account, an average Social Security benefit, and a paid-off house is quietly leaving somewhere north of $250,000 on the table over their retirement. Not because they were foolish, because 10 defaults triggered the second they stopped working. I'm going to hand you the 10 upgrades in 5 clean pieces: your health coverage bridge and your Medicare timing, your withdrawal strategy and your cash reserve, your Social Security claiming age and your tax plan, Roth conversions included, your insurance mix and your long-term care, your beneficiary lines and your survivor plan. Every one of them is a number, and every number goes into the total I'm building for you. If you want the whole playbook, every default and every quiet move that flips it, I put it in a book. Links in the description. If it helps, it's there. I won't bring it up again. Meet the mechanism. I call it the announcement tax. It isn't a line item. You won't find it on a form. It's the collection of automatic defaults that trigger the moment you stop earning a paycheck, and every one of them was written by an institution that profits from you not knowing. Meet Marvin Feldstein, 63 years old, sold industrial parts out of a warehouse in Cleveland for 34 years. His wife Ruth is 61, 1 son, 1 grandkid. Marvin has $1 million in a traditional individual retirement account, $42,000 in a checking account, a paid-off house, and a Social Security statement that says $2,000 a month at full retirement age. Marvin reads the paper. Marvin does his own taxes on TurboTax. Marvin thinks he's ready. Marvin isn't ready. Not because he did anything wrong, because the defaults are lined up against him. On the brochure at the Human Resources Office, his retirement account is called a nest egg. In the tax code, it's called a deferred tax liability. Same dollar, opposite pocket. When Marvin turns 73, the Internal Revenue Service reaches into that account and pulls out a required distribution, and every dollar of it is taxed as ordinary income under Section 408. He didn't schedule that. The government did, in 1974. Here's the price of the announcement tax. If Marvin does nothing between now and 73, his $1 million grows, the required minimum distribution grows with it, and the taxable withdrawal at age 73 alone lands him near $100,000 of taxable income he didn't ask for. That pushes his Medicare Part B premium up under the income-related monthly adjustment rules, which kick in at $206,000 of joint income for 2024, according to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. His Social Security becomes 85% taxable. His long-term capital gains rate can climb. Every one of these numbers is triggered by one setting he never touched, because nobody told him it was a setting. A 12-year window between 63 and 73 is where the fix lives. Miss the window and the machine collects. So the question stops being, do I have enough to retire? That question is a trap. The real question is, how many of the 10 default settings on my money have I actually touched before I say the word retired out loud? Because the day you announce it, the clock on most of these upgrades starts running, and some of them stop being available. This isn't a conspiracy, it's just how the machine is built. Kevin at the Human Resources office didn't set it up. He just works there. Marvin thinks $1 million is $1 million. He worked for it. He saved it. He never touched it. The statement says 1 million, and that's what he plans to spend. That statement is lying by omission. Marvin's account is pre-tax. Every dollar he pulls out is ordinary income under Internal Revenue Code Section 408. Let's run it with me. The 2024 married filing jointly brackets, straight from Internal Revenue Service Revenue Procedure 2023-34. The 22% bracket runs from $94,300 up to $201,050. The 24% bracket runs to $383,900. If Marvin spreads his withdrawals across those brackets over retirement, blended rate lands near 24%. 1 million times 24% is $240,000. To the Internal Revenue Service, off the top. 1 million minus 240,000 equals 760,000. That's the real number in Marvin's account, not 1,760,000. Before Ohio takes a cut, before Medicare surcharges, before anything. Marvin's not a millionaire in spendable dollars. He never was. He's a 760,000-aire, and nobody at Fidelity ever ran that sentence for him. This isn't your fault, Marvin. The statement was written to comfort you, not inform you. Between 63 and 73, Marvin has a 12-year window to convert chunks of that traditional account into a Roth. He fills the 12 and 22% brackets, pays the tax now at a known rate, and shrinks the future required distribution that would push him into the Medicare surcharge zone. Under the Secure 2.0 Act, the required distribution start age is 73. Distribution period 26.5 at age 73, per Internal Revenue Service Publication 590B. So 1 over 26.5 equals 3.77% forced out. Every dollar he moves to Roth is a dollar the government can't force out later. $240,000. That's beat one. Write it down. That's the tax you can see coming. Next is the one nobody warns you about, and it hits in the 2 years before Medicare. Marvin is 63. Ruth is 61. Marvin figures they'll keep the employer plan somehow, or they'll go on Medicare when the time comes. Everybody talks about Medicare like it just starts. Ruth doesn't even ask. Medicare starts at 65, not 63, not 64, 65. That's from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, straight out of the Medicare and You 2024 handbook. Marvin quits at 63. Employer coverage ends the following month, and there is a 24-month gap before Medicare turns on. He has 3 options. Employer continuation coverage, which typically runs full premium plus 2% for up to 18 months. Ruth's plan, if she has one, which she doesn't, or the Affordable Care Act Marketplace. A 63-year-old on a Marketplace Silver plan without subsidy in most states runs roughly $700 to $900 a month. Call it $750. Marvin and Ruth together, roughly $1,500 a month, times 24 months. That's $36,000 before subsidies. If they qualify for subsidies by keeping their taxable income low, and this is important, they can cut that in half or more. But if Marvin does a big Roth conversion in year 1 without coordinating, he blows past the subsidy cliff and pays full freight. So the tax move and the health move fight each other, and nobody at the Human Resources office is going to tell Marvin that on his last day. He gets a farewell cake and a handshake. Before he tells anyone he's retiring, Marvin runs a 2-year cash flow. He picks a target income that keeps marketplace subsidies alive in the bridge years, then front-loads Roth conversions after 65, when Medicare has taken over. $18,000, call it, in unsubsidized premiums the first 2 years. Add it. Beat 1 plus beat 2, 240 plus 18 equals 258,000. That's the health gap. Next up is the one decision that quietly moves $125,000 in one direction or the other. and most people make it on a Tuesday afternoon for no reason at all. Marvin's Social Security statement says $2,000 a month of full retirement age, which is 67 for him. He figures he'll grab it at 62 because he wants his money now. Everybody says take it early. What if I die? Here is what the Social Security Administration itself publishes, and I'm quoting the 2023 fact sheet. If you start receiving retirement benefits at age 62, you will get about 70% of the monthly benefit. If you delay receiving retirement benefits until age 70, you will get about 124% of the monthly benefit if your full retirement age is 67. End quote. $2,000 at 67 is the anchor. At 62, Marvin gets 70%, which is $1,400 a month. At 70, he gets 124%, which is $2,480 a month. Same person, same work history. The only variable is when he signs the form. Say Marvin lives to 90, which is a reasonable planning age for a healthy 63-year-old today. If he claims at 62, that's 28 years of $1,400 a month, which is $470,400. If he claims at 70, that's 20 years of $2,480 a month, which is $595,200. Subtract $124,800 on one signature. Marvin was going to make that decision on a Tuesday afternoon because his neighbor said, take it early. His neighbor doesn't know Marvin's life expectancy. His neighbor doesn't know Ruth's survivor benefit is tied to Marvin's number. His neighbor is a nice guy who's wrong. Before he tells anyone he retired, Marvin runs the break-even. For most healthy earners with a spouse, delaying past full retirement age is worth it, and coordinating with the lower earning spouse's claim is where the real dollars live. $125,000. Add it in. 258 plus 125 equals 383,000. That's timing. Next is the number the fund company hides in a footnote. Marvin has $1 million invested. His advisor charges 1%. The funds inside charge, on average, another 0.6% for active management. Total 1.6%. He barely notices. It's a small number. It's less than a mortgage rate. It's a small percentage. It is not a small dollar. Watch the math. Morningstar's fund fee studies put asset-weighted active equity expense ratios in the 0.6% neighborhood. A comparable index solution is about 0.10%. Add a 1% advisor, and you're at 1.6 total. The index alternative is 0.10. The drag is 1.5% a year on Marvin's balance. Take a $1 million portfolio, assume roughly 6% gross annual returns, and imagine Marvin withdraws 4%, which is $40,000 a year adjusted for inflation. Over 25 years, that 1.5% annual drag compounds. In round numbers, the low-fee portfolio finishes with roughly $500,000 to $700,000 remaining. The high-fee version finishes with roughly $150,000 to $300,000. The gap is not tens of thousands. In many scenarios, it's $150,000 to $200,000. Same market, same withdrawals, different fee. And underneath that, Marvin only kept 3 months of cash, $18,000. If the market drops 30% in his first year of retirement, he has to sell shares at the bottom to pay the mortgage because he has no reserve. 12 months of cash is $72,000. He's short $54,000 of quiet reserve. Marvin didn't know. The 1% advisor fee didn't feel like a fee, it felt like a service. Before he announces retirement, Marvin rebuilds his allocation, moves to lower-cost funds, sets a written withdrawal rule near 4%, and builds a 12-month cash bucket. Call the fee plus reserve exposure conservatively $150,000. Add it. 383 plus 150 equals 533,000 of gap so far. 2 upgrades left, and these are the ones that hit Ruth. Marvin's got a term life policy from 1998 costing $300 a month. His beneficiary form on the retirement account still says his mother, who passed in 2011. He never updated it. Ruth's name isn't on the account. Marvin figures the will covers it. Term life at $300 a month is $3,600 a year. Marvin doesn't need that policy anymore. Ruth is not dependent on his paycheck. That's $3,600 a year times a 20-year retirement is $72,000 of premiums for coverage he no longer needs. Meanwhile, Genworth's 2023 cost of care survey puts the median national cost of a nursing home private room north of $100,000 a year. Marvin has zero long-term care plan. If either of them needs 3 years of care, that's over $300,000 in today's dollars straight out of the portfolio. The beneficiary form overrides the will every time. If Marvin dies with his mother listed, that account goes through probate, legal fees, delays, and under the Secure Act rules, the payout structure for the eventual beneficiary is worse. Call the friction easily $25,000 to $50,000 on a $760,000 net account. Now Ruth. When Marvin dies first, Ruth loses the smaller of the two Social Security checks. If they're getting $2,000 and $1,500, Ruth keeps the $2,000 and the $1,500 stops. That's $18,000 a year for the rest of her life. If she lives 12 years past Marvin, that's $216,000 of income that vanishes, and her expenses barely drop. The paperwork felt like paperwork. It's not paperwork. It's a wire transfer with a delay. Update the beneficiary line today. Cancel the unnecessary term policy. Run the survivor plan while both are alive. $533 plus the insurance and survivor and probate exposure, call it conservatively another $100,000. We're standing at roughly $633,000 of gross exposure across Marvin's retirement. And I haven't even finalized the number yet. That's next. Stop for a second. Look at the number we've been building. $240 in tax on the traditional account, $18 in health premiums, $125 in Social Security timing, $150 in fee and reserve drag, and another $100 minimum in insurance waste, probate friction, and survivor gap. Marvin looks like a millionaire. Ruth thinks they made it. They didn't, not yet, because none of those numbers are separate. They compound against each other. The required distribution Marvin doesn't manage inflates the Medicare surcharge Ruth pays in widowhood. The fee drag Marvin ignored shrinks the portfolio that funds the long-term care event nobody planned for. This is the number the industry counts on you never running in one sitting. We are standing at $633,000 of gross exposure, but the actual realized loss, the total quiet exposure across a 25 to 30-year retirement, lands conservatively at $312,000. $312,000. Let me say it a different way. Marvin thought he retired with $1 million. After all the defaults take their cut, the net spendable, protected, family flowing wealth is not $1 million, somewhere around $688,000. That is the number, not $1 million. 688. He is not a millionaire retiree. He is a $688,000-aire, and nobody at the bank, nobody at the Human Resources Office, nobody at Fidelity, and nobody at the Social Security Office was ever going to run that line for him, because your knowing it is the only thing that costs them. The man on the thumbnail has a finger to his lips for a reason. The move is quiet. You don't announce anything. You don't call the kids yet. You don't post it. You don't tell your neighbor. You sit down, you touch the 10 settings on your money one at a time, and you retire on the real number, not the statement number. Here's what takes most of that $312,000 back, and it costs you no dollars, just 10 calm minutes on each item. Log in and update every beneficiary line today. Get the Social Security estimate for 62, 67, and 70 in writing. Model 2 years of marketplace insurance before Medicare with actual premiums. Ask your advisor in writing for the total cost, expense ratios plus advisory fee. If it's above 0.5% all in, you have a conversation to have. Cancel any term life policy that no longer protects a dependent. Build a 12-month cash reserve. Run one Roth conversion projection between 63 and 73. None of these are hard. None of them require permission. All of them, done before you announce, are the difference between retiring with the statement number and retiring with the real one. Let me be straight with you. Running this list won't make you rich. Anybody promising one video will turn your retirement into a fortune is selling you Narishkeit, and I've watched people fall for it my whole career. What this list does is stop the leak. It stops the $312,000 from walking out the door on defaults that nobody voted for. And here's the other thing I want you to hear. Marvin didn't do anything wrong. He saved. He paid his mortgage. He never cashed out early. He raised a kid. He filed his taxes on time for 34 years. He was, by every measure that gets celebrated in this country, a responsible adult. The system was still lined up against him. Both things are true. This is general information, not advice for your exact situation. Your numbers, numbers, your state, your family, your health, your timeline. Run it with someone who has to look you in the eye. Do your homework. Now hear me on this. The mistake was never yours. The mistake was thinking anyone in the building was ever going to run that number for you. The human resources person wasn't going to. The advisor charging you 1% wasn't going to. The Social Security clerk isn't allowed to. The Internal Revenue Service certainly isn't. Every one of them had a script, and the script did not include the sentence, "Hey Marvin, before you announce this, let's sit down for one afternoon and touch the 10 settings." Nobody said it to you. That is not a character flaw. That is a design. The thumbnail on this video has a man with his finger to his lips because retiring quietly isn't a superstition. It isn't a secret. It isn't a tribe. It's a method. You touch the settings before the announcement, not after, because after is when the defaults harden. Now you know what they know. You know what the guys sitting on the pricing desks know. You know what a good tax attorney and a fee-only planner would tell you if you were paying them by the hour. You're not failing at adulthood. You were reading the statement. The statement wasn't the number. Now the number is on the table, and it's yours. Tell me which of the 10 upgrades you already did and which one you didn't know was a setting. Drop your age and your state in the comments. I read them, and the patterns tell me what to film next. If you know somebody in the 12-year window between 63 and 73, send this to them before they announce. That window is where the real money lives, and once it closes, it closes. Next time, I'm going to run the number on the Roth conversion itself. Exactly how much Marvin should convert, in which years, at which bracket, and the one mistake that turns a smart Roth conversion into an accidental Medicare surcharge that costs a couple $1,200 a month for 2 years. It's a chess move most retirees don't know they're making. I'll show you the board. You did the saving. Don't hand it back on defaults. Touch the settings, quietly, one at a time, before the announcement. And when you finally do tell everyone you retired, tell them from the real number, not the statement number. That's the number. Now go touch